Don't be fooled by him being a rich bachelor. He still got stood up on a blind date. A waiter accidentally bumped into some apples. One rolled right to Buck's feet like it had a mind of its own. There he saw the parking lot girl who had captivated him. Their eyes locked, and it felt like time stopped. Zay said hello to Buck. He just held out the apple awkwardly. That move was almost too silly. The man couldn't calm down for a long while. He didn't know the woman was the one who had ditched him at the blind date. Seeing him scold the cafe waitress, she assumed he was just another spoiled rich kid, arrogant and entitled. But he had only noticed the manager watching the waitress slack off, and was trying to warn her to work harder. So he was left waiting alone, because Zay never showed up, and that also ruined his mother's big business deal.
Mutlaka bir terslik olmuştur. Ben şimdi Cansu'yu arar öğrenirim.
Kalsın. Sen daha annenin kucağında oynarken ben buraları yönetiyordum.
When Zay got home, her mother stormed into the room. Without letting her explain, she slapped her. Zay stayed silent as usual. She asked her mother why she couldn't live the life she chose. But from the moment she was born, her life was never hers to decide. This time Zay exploded. She wanted to give everything back in exchange for freedom.
Babaannemlere gitmek zorunda kalmayacaksam al. Al bu pahalı şeylerin hepsini. İstemiyorum bunları. İstemiyorum olsun, ben senden bunları istemedim.
Her mother said you can only marry for the family. Forget everything else. She seemed bewitched, not realizing her daughter already had feelings for someone, but not the man she thought. They had grown up together. Since he already had a girlfriend, he asked his buddy to go on the date. And that's how everything happened. Now the rich man was being set up for another blind date. The rich kid went on a blind date with a pretty girl, but as a true foodie all he cared about was eating. The girl across from him kept talking non-stop. He told her to hurry and eat before the food got cold. Suddenly the power went out and Buck got up to find candles. By chance he ran into his last blind date partner. Their eyes met and sparks of love flew instantly. It was like the sparks lit up the bulbs around them, but nothing could stop the connection between them. Soon their clothes even caught a bit of fire. Buck tossed away the candle but it lit the table. Zay tried to step in but Buck shielded her, and pulled out some special water like magic. He put out the near disaster in time, then turned to clean up with Zay. She told him to go handle his date first. That's when Buck remembered he was supposed to be on a blind date. He tried to explain it to the girl waiting for him. The manager reminded him someone else was inside too. The girl wondered who it was. Buck stammered saying it was a coworker and he'd make it up to her. Though unhappy, she suggested going home first. Buck politely offered to walk her out. She declined and left with a gloomy face. When Buck returned, he saw Zay happily eating. He grabbed the shop's special bread to share with her. The two food lovers hit it off instantly. They talked about everything from poems to life philosophy. Who knows how much time passed. They walked out full in content. Buck kindly put her in a taxi. He stood watching until the car drove away. Then Buck got a call. His best friend invited him to a family dinner. The rich kid who just came back was the sole heir of the family. They had grown up together. Buck's parents actually worked for that family. But with his talent, Buck managed the family business smoothly. Now Buck was ready to give back his authority. But the rich kid didn't want to take over yet, and asked Buck to keep managing it. Buck was confused by his friend's strange choice, but knowing he'd see the girl he liked at work every day, he reluctantly agreed. He had no idea the waitress was actually a rich heiress too. She was a rich girl always picked up in a luxury car, but after getting out she would sneak into a discount store. She changed into ripped jeans. Looking in the mirror, she felt pretty satisfied with her outfit, because she liked this simple kind of life. She did not want what happened last time to repeat, to blend into their world. She lied and said her limited edition bag was just a knockoff. At home the fancy breakfast was full of choices. She had no appetite and just left the table. At the shop she happily ate her co-worker's small piece of bread. This was a joy she had never experienced as a spoiled heiress. Her co-worker taught her how to sell fruit and clean the store. She had never done anything like that, so she listened carefully and tried to learn. But she always messed things up. Her co-worker never blamed her. Instead they encouraged her patiently. Still, today's work was not smooth. They ran into a very demanding VIP customer. Z suggested fresh juice for her, but the woman focused on Zay's bracelet. She mocked her saying it looked cheap. Arrogantly she said this was a global limited edition design. How could a waitress afford that? A coworker tried to smooth things over offering fruit, but the woman knocked it away. Zay could not take it anymore and asked what rule said. That servers could not wear expensive jewelry. Just because you cannot afford it does not mean others cannot. The wealthy woman grew angry and raised her hand toward Zay, but she stepped on a plum, and fell hard on the ground in an awkward way. Was that not just karma? Soon the whole matter reached the police station. Bot came personally to bail them out. He told Zay and Xiaobei to hurry and apologize. The customer is always right. Xiaobei agreed without issue, but Zay refused. She had done nothing wrong and would not apologize. She told Bok, I thought you would stand up for what is fair, but you are no different from the others. Then she walked away. Bok could not understand and was furious. He had no choice but to find Zay again, and kept trying to persuade her to apologize. But Zay stayed firm, so he left. Soon the wealthy woman came demanding answers. Bach pleaded, saying his employees had tough lives, unlike her who could spend freely. He hoped she would show some mercy, but she was ruthless and said if Zay would not apologize, she would make a bigger scene. If there was no apology, then Zay must be fired. Helpless Bach went to find Zay again, begging her to say sorry, but Zay still rejected him and said she would never give in, so Bach had no choice but to let her go. This rich girl hid her identity and worked in a grocery store as a clerk, but she ended up getting fired by the boss. A coworker pulled out a phone trying to comfort her. The first headline was about a billionaire's secret daughter exposed. As soon as she heard her father's name, Zay forgot her sadness. In disbelief, she grabbed the phone and saw the news herself. Then she picked up her bag and ran out quickly. When she returned home, her mom had locked herself in the room, not letting anyone in. Everyone outside was arguing about the situation. It was clearly her father who had done wrong, yet he still scolded others as if he was right. After scolding his son, he scolded his daughter. Hearing Zay's voice, her mom opened the door and called her daughter inside. Zay sat down beside her mom, like the caring daughter she always was. Her mom finally poured out what she had been holding in. It turned out she had known about this all along. All the gifts from her husband were just to please her. For the sake of her children's future, she kept silent. Now that the scandal was all over the internet, the family's reputation was ruined. She smashed all the jewelry her husband had given her, letting out years of pent-up anger. She called her daughter in to make her understand that men are not reliable and she could only count on herself. She insisted Zay must live according to her plan. Accepting the arranged blind date, she said it was for Zay's own good. Zay could not take it anymore and ran out in tears. Her brother quickly followed to comfort her and asked what had happened. Through tears, Zay said she had followed her mom's wishes her whole life. Couldn't she have her own choice just once? Seeing how broken Zay looked, her brother knew she was hurt inside. He pulled out some bear-shaped cookies to cheer her up like when they were kids. That's what siblings who grew up together do. And Zay finally smiled through tears. When they saw the last cookie, they playfully fought over it like old times. Her brother asked her to tell him what had been going on. Zay calmed down and shared how she had worked as a clerk, and how she had been bullied by a wealthy customer. Then finally about how she was fired. Her brother pushed the cookies toward her. Seeing she was calmer now, he pulled out his phone ready to find someone to investigate. Just because she lost her job. The girl sat quietly by the pool looking down. Suddenly she got a call. It was her former boss asking her to come to the office right away. Seemed like someone she wanted to see was waiting on the other end. When she arrived at the office, she saw the wealthy woman who had once threatened to fire her. Z was puzzled about why she was being called in. The wealthy woman had dropped her arrogance from yesterday and seemed unusually kind. Barker stood by with a quiet smile. The sudden change really came as a surprise. The wealthy woman hoped Zay could forgive her for being impulsive yesterday. Zay said it was no big deal and generously forgave her. Hearing that, the wealthy woman happily grabbed her bag and hurried off. After sending her away, both of them felt much better. Barker took the chance to speak his mind. I wanted to call you yesterday to ask you out for coffee, but I wasn't sure if you'd say yes. Now I just want to ask if you'd like to come back to work. Zay suddenly remembered the dream she had yesterday. In that dream, Barker had asked her the very same question. She gladly accepted the offer and both of them were satisfied. After leaving the office, Zay was overjoyed. Her brother really moved fast. He even called to check if she was feeling any better. He told her to reach out if she ever needed help. He truly treats his sister with unmatched care. When Xiaobei returned to the locker room, she was greeted with a pleasant surprise from Zay. Hearing that Zay was back at work, Xiaobei couldn't stop smiling. No one understood why a wealthy young woman wanted to be a waitress so badly. Back at her job, Zay ran into a man. The first thing he said to her was, "Hey big sis." Zay thought to herself, your whole family is big sis. But she held back her frustration and smiled politely, asking what she could do for him. He wanted a coconut, so Zay handed him one. Then he changed his mind and asked for an avocado. When Zay reached for it, he suddenly said never mind, he wanted a banana. As she was about to grab it, he changed his mind again. This time he asked her to recommend a spiky fruit. Zay picked up a pineapple and said, how about this one? Big and sweet and smells amazing. The man then asked if the pineapple she was holding was male or female. He insisted he wanted a male one. Facing this kind of customer, Zay tried her best to stay calm. She wanted to explain that pineapples don't have genders, but he kept rushing her, and even threatened to file a complaint. After all, this was the job she had just gotten back. Facing his constant demands, she finally lost her patience and spoke up. Why make such a fuss over a pineapple? If you want one, pick it yourself. All day long you just keep nitpicking. I think you are doing it on purpose. Maybe you just needed a break from everything around you. Right then Barker showed up. Turns out the man was just an actor arranged for her to vent her feelings. Barker really has a unique way of cheering her up. The man shone brightly on stage. Her best friend gazed at him with admiration from the audience. Clearly Zay and her best friend had fallen for the same guy. After the speech, he sat down next to Zay. Her best friend happily sat on the other side of the charming man. Meanwhile, the wealthy young man who always liked Xiaobei was not about to miss such a chance. He quickly took the seat beside her. Xiaobei didn't understand what he was up to. Then he pulled out a balloon and handed it to her. Xiaobei smiled and playfully held up a small knife and gently popped the balloon. After giving him a warning, she turned and saw Barker, and her mood changed instantly. The wealthy young man still refused to give up and made a heart sign for her. As a foodie, her way of responding was to finish the food with enthusiasm. And even after that, she didn't forget to show kindness to Barker. The wealthy young man kept trying to tease her, but Xiao Bei's heart was only with Barker. Zhi thought of the dreamy look in her best friend's eyes and grew distracted. Barker noticed she had no appetite, and immediately stood up to call her into the kitchen. He decided to cook something himself. Rolling up his sleeves, he prepared to make more food for Zhi. Helping out in the kitchen, Zhi turned out not to know how to pan fry meat. The chicken wings were about to burn. Barker naturally reached over to guide her hand, helping her flip the wings to keep cooking. His gentle move made Zhi's heart race. This meal was bound to be unforgettable. With a touch of affection in the mix, Zhi felt happy and moved. Everything seemed so perfect. But then she remembered her best friend also liked this man. She immediately returned the dinner with a heavy heart and walked away, leaving Barker looking puzzled. He didn't even have time to wipe the sweat from his forehead. Back at the table, both she and her friend were not in high spirits. As the gathering was about to end, Xiao Bei made a small request to him, asking Barker to walk her home. But Barker said he still had work and told her to grab a cab instead. Seeing how indifferent he was, Xiao Bei felt really sad and turned to leave. The wealthy young man noticed her disappointment. He drove over and let her vent her feelings, patiently comforting her. Then the scene shifted to Barker walking with Zhi on the street. He wanted to ask why she had turned him down, but Zhi didn't give him a direct answer. Barker noticed a swing nearby, and naturally took her hand to lead her there. The swing swayed gently and their hearts beat faster together. For a moment they seemed to forget the awkwardness. But then Zhi received an unexpected text message. This wealthy guy wanted to win over a waitress, so he took her to swing by the roadside. Just as the sparks between them were growing, Zoe suddenly got an unexpected text. It said he already had a fiancé and was about to get married. Hearing that, Zoe's expression changed instantly. She had just learned her father once had a child outside of marriage, and she really couldn't stand things like that. She never thought Buck would be the same kind of person. It felt like all men were disappointing. Zoe grabbed her bag and got ready to leave. Buck was confused about why she suddenly looked upset. Zoe hailed a taxi. Before getting in, she decided to clear things up for him. Go back, she said, don't let your fiancé worry. Without waiting for Buck to explain, she walked away. Hearing that, Buck realized this was a misunderstanding. He had an arranged date. Even though he didn't have feelings for her, his mother really liked the girl, and only his wealthy buddy knew about it. Clearly Zoe had gotten the wrong idea. So he called his rich friend and confirmed it was him who told Zoe's best friend. Buck sat under a tree lost in thought. No matter how many times his buddy called, he didn't answer. From a distance, a luxury car approached, and Buck was still found by the rich guy. This was their secret hideout. His friend urged him to just follow his heart, and Buck seemed to make an important decision. So the next day Buck asked his blind date out. But just as he happily drove her to the secret place, she complained that the music was boring. Buck tried to reassure her, saying, just relax, I have a surprise for you. After a long drive, they finally arrived at the hideout. With high hopes, she opened her eyes when Buck finished counting to 3, only to see a wide open green field around her. After such a long ride, this is the surprise you prepared for me. I thought it would be a house or something else. Are you planning to live in the countryside forever? This was actually the spot where he wanted to build a home. But from the way she talked, he could hear her disapproval. His mood instantly sank. He had thought about giving them a chance, but realized they were never on the same page. At last he saw clearly they really weren't right for each other. Before, he thought since his mom liked her, he shouldn't let his mother worry. Even though he didn't have feelings for the girl, he believed maybe feelings could grow over time. But after a short conversation, he realized he had almost made the wrong choice. So before they even touched the food, he decided to take her back. Before leaving, he finally asked the question on his mind. Would you really marry someone you don't even care about? The billionaire CEO prepares a surprise for his girlfriend. As far as the eye can see, it's a vast green meadow. What she wanted was a luxury car and a villa. The blind date woman immediately changed her expression. Buck lost interest and quickly ended the date. The blind date woman immediately went to Buck's house. She pretended to give a gift to Buck's mom. Then, with tears in her eyes, told Buck's mom that she was being mistreated. She heard there was a girl at their company clinging to Buck. She could never be his daughter-in-law. Buck's mom was not happy to hear that. This was the daughter-in-law she had chosen. No one could bully her. No one could escape her sharp eyes. She vowed to get justice for the girl. Soon, Buck's mom came to the store. The one serving her was Zhi. The service was thorough and considerate. The two even hit it off really well. Buck's mom even shared her homemade bear cookies with Zhi. Buck's mom wanted to find a match for her son, but because Buck swapped identities with the rich kid, Zhi thought they were talking about the rich kid's love interest. She took her to find Xiao Bei. Buck's mom mistakenly thought Xiao Bei was the one chasing after her son. She couldn't stand him and didn't like him. She gave Xiao Bei a cold attitude. Luckily, the secretary quickly took her away. In the office, Buck's mom asked him which vixen had bewitched him to treat his future daughter-in-law like this. Hearing this, Buck was shocked. Wasn't it because they had incompatible values that they broke up? Buck explained everything to his mom. His mom believed her son would make the right decision. Buck decided to clear things up with the blind date woman. The blind date woman was thrilled when she heard Buck wanted to meet her. She immediately agreed with excitement. After hanging up, she kissed the phone. Just as Buck was about to leave, his secretary stopped him. There was an issue with a delivery. When he went to check, he saw Zay helping the delivery workers. She was buying up the almost rotten fruits to help. This woman kept surprising him. Seeing his true feelings, he went to the restaurant, finally gathering the courage to tell the girl he wanted to break up. The woman was shocked and cried regretfully. After all, wealthy men are hard to find, especially one as handsome as him. The blind date woman still voiced her dissatisfaction. Is it because of that vixen? Buck replied, it has nothing to do with anyone. Then why are you breaking up? It's simply because we aren't suited for each other. The woman grabbed her bag and was about to leave. She turned around and insulted him, calling him scum. Don't ever show up in front of me again, or I'll slap you every time I see you. With that resolve, Buck, feeling relieved, arranged to meet Zay. He told Zay that he was single, and asked if she would be his girlfriend. But Zay, upon hearing this, turned around and ran. This wealthy man loved giving gifts to others. And once again he gave his wife a luxury car. He thought she would be thrilled, but she calmly glanced at the flashy car, then turned to the black van behind, and pulled out a jewelry box, an entire case of gold and silver jewelry. She not only refused the new gift, but returned all the ones from before. The wealthy man believed money could solve anything, and if it didn't it just meant he hadn't spent enough. In fact he had a daughter outside his marriage, and used the car to ask for forgiveness. The jewelry too had been gifts to make up for mistakes, but his bad habits did not pass on to his daughter. Zay disliked the cold atmosphere of this family, and insisted on moving out. Her father disagreed, so she chased him to his office, and wore him down until he finally said yes. Zay jumped with joy and rushed to tell her brother. He quickly put down his work to congratulate her, and reminded her to stay safe living alone. She impatiently said she knew already. That night her mother couldn't find her in her room, and learned from her brother that she had moved out. Her mother grew furious, saying after all she had done, her daughter was still desperate to run away. She vowed to make her realize her mistake, and that she was the one who loved her most. But her love meant treating her daughter like a caged bird, scolding or even slapping her if she disobeyed, constantly arranging blind dates, demanding she marry into wealth. Just as Zay was relaxing with her friend, she got a message. Come home now or you will lose everything. Her mother sat downstairs like a queen waiting, and Zay really did come back. Had she given in without even resisting? Instead she dumped out her bag dramatically, returned the car keys, changed into simple clothes and left again. Her furious mother froze all her accounts, forcing her to struggle and return home. At that moment Zay received a text from Buck asking to meet. There Buck confessed his feelings, but she ran away as soon as she heard it, leaving Buck standing confused. When she got home her friend asked what happened, but she couldn't say. She locked herself in the bathroom crying. She actually liked Buck a lot, but her friend liked him too, and she didn't want to hurt her friend. Was this the pain of liking the same person as your best friend? After calming down Zay fixed her look, and played around with her friend as if nothing happened. Her friend saw her sadness, and tried to comfort her, but Zay was in pain, unable to tell her the truth. If it were you, what would you do? Because they couldn't afford rent, the two girls had to sneak out quietly, but clumsy Zay accidentally knocked over a bucket, and the landlord still noticed her. The landlord was curious about who she was, so they had to admit, this is my friend. Luckily the kind landlord thought Zay was charming and didn't give them trouble, but Zay was actually a wealthy heiress. She didn't want to live in a mansion. She gave up her inheritance and moved out, just to live in a cheap apartment with her best friend. When they went to the mall, Zay wanted to buy a fancy wardrobe, but when she paid all her cards were frozen. She could only buy leftover items in the corner. It was her first time on a bus. Without money she stood there embarrassed. They asked for help on the bus. Seeing her just standing there, a kind man reached out to help. Everyone clapped. It showed there are still many good people in the world. When Zay went to the supermarket for meat, she learned ribs cost 55 a pound. She realized she couldn't even afford 1 pound. Then her mom called again. Not having money doesn't feel good, right? If you come back home you'll have money again. But stubborn Zay looked at her phone and seemed to have another idea. Soon she came home with many shopping bags, living under the same roof with her best friend, and even liking the same guy, working in the same office too. Zay tried to avoid Buck whenever she saw him. Even if they bumped into each other she just wanted to run away. But Buck wasn't about to let her go. If you want Bay to see, then let's talk right here. Zay didn't want her best friend to be hurt, so she stepped outside with Buck and he confessed with deep feelings. I know you avoid me because you don't want to hurt Bay, but I really like you, and I don't want you to feel stuck. But Zay still refused, saying being friends was enough. So Buck had to respect her choice. Two people who clearly liked each other had to settle for just being friends. But could avoiding her best friend's pain really be that simple? Four friends planned to go on a picnic together, but the seating became a tricky problem. Two women both liked the same man, so how should the seats be arranged? They switched back and forth again and again. 3 out of 4 got what they wanted. Only Bay wasn't very happy. Even with that little imperfection they still set off. They arrived at a beautiful resort under a clear blue sky. Even the pool in front of the villa seemed just perfect. Mealtime was always full of joy. Barbecue drinks and heartfelt talks that crossed borders. The main character always draws attention. The playful boss was overjoyed. Without hesitation he chose truth in the game. Zay asked knowingly, do you have someone important in your heart? Look at my tender eyes, do you even need to ask? After eating and drinking, the four of them started playing again. The boys and girls paired up to compete. The girls on top were having fun. The boys underneath felt secretly pleased. After all, they were carrying the ones they admired most. But at that moment they hadn't realized yet. One person was already missing from the water. Buck quickly pulled her out. Seeing Zay lying still, Buck was terribly worried. Before he could try to help, Zay slowly opened her eyes. But their close posture and his heartfelt worry made Bae sense something unusual between them. Yet clueless Zay didn't notice her friend's reaction. She hugged her to comfort her. Later, when they were packing to leave, Bae went downstairs early, and Buck came over at the right moment offering to help. Seeing Zay's many things, he reached out to carry them. But just then Bae returned to get what she forgot. She saw them gazing deeply at each other. Buck confessed to Zay once more, I swear my heart beats only for you. Overwhelmed, Bae rushed downstairs in tears. While upstairs, Zay let go of Buck's hand. She liked him but didn't want to hurt Bae. But her friend didn't hear that part and just wanted to leave immediately. And the wealthy young man, as her protector, didn't hesitate. He stepped on the gas and drove off fast, as if the ones left behind no longer mattered. The two left behind pulled out their phones, only to find there was no signal at all. Was this what people call a world for just two? This girl saw with her own eyes the guy she liked confess his feelings to her best friend. Heartbroken, she felt her eyes fill with tears. She could only turn away and run outside. At that moment she just wanted to get out of there. The rich young man didn't ask anything and simply drove off. The two left behind were stunned as they watched the car disappear. They couldn't figure out why their friends left so suddenly. To cheer Zay up, Buck decided to cut open a watermelon for her. But staring at the fruit, he came up with another playful idea. He walked out holding his hand, pretending like he had hurt himself. Seeing Buck act like he was injured, Zay grew really worried. She carefully reached for his hand, but then noticed it was just ketchup and realized he was teasing her. You gotta admit, the boss really knows how to play around. The mood quickly felt much lighter than before. Annoyed, Zay grabbed Buck's hand as if she might smack him with the remote. Later they walked by the river and had an honest heart-to-heart. Zay admitted she was actually from a wealthy family, but her home never felt warm. So all she wanted was to break free. Buck said, I'm just the son of a gardener. My whole family has always worked for others, but I never complain and I'm not bitter about it. I only hope that when I feel lost, I can find the light that guides me. Zay was moved by his sincerity, yet she still thought Buck wasn't being truthful. After all, the blind date she once saw was actually him. Her heart stirred, but she still ran away in a rush. Their relationship seemed the same yet somehow different now. As night fell, the two who had driven off still hadn't returned. Zay grew worried about her best friend's safety. She blamed Buck for pulling her out of the water, which left Bae so upset. But Buck felt hurt too, because he could only stay friends with the one he cared for. Yet he couldn't stop wanting to be near her. Even after arguing, they decided to go look for their missing friends. On the way they ran into the rich young man who came back for them. He told them that Bae already knew about their feelings for each other. When they got home, Zay didn't know how to explain, so she left a note of apology along with the key and walked away. The next day she found her best friend hoping to explain, but her friend didn't give her a chance and just turned away. Feeling like she lost her best friend, Zay went to the CEO's office. Buck was surprised to see Zay so that day, but she handed him her resignation letter. Even though Buck was disappointed, there was no way he'd let her just walk out. After all, she was the girl he truly liked. But no matter how much he asked her to stay, Zay still decided to leave. Buck sat in the office feeling down. After work he went to the swing that was special to them. Sure enough, Zay was there. After Buck's heartfelt words, Zay suddenly felt encouraged. Like she was filled with energy, she rushed to wait outside Bae's home all night. But a heart that's been hurt doesn't heal so easily. To earn her friend's forgiveness, Zay made up her mind, and decided to return to work at the company. While she was still thinking of how to make things right, her mom called, telling her she had to come to the wedding that night. At the same time, the rich young man got word from his grandma to attend too. Were their real identities about to be exposed? A rich girl disguised herself as a cashier working in a supermarket. But she suddenly got a call from her mother, telling her to attend the evening banquet. Z reluctantly dressed up and showed up. As expected, her mother was setting her up again. She could only awkwardly respond. When she turned around and saw her boss, she froze like a mouse spotting a cat, sneaking careful glances in that direction. Just then a waiter arrived like a lifesaver. Z quickly grabbed the tray, trying to cover herself and slip away. Her mother and the man were both confused. They followed her, curious to see her trick. Buck seemed to notice her too, and walked after her footsteps. It felt like fate wanted them to meet. Buck was curious what she was doing. Z pretended she was working part-time, wearing such an expensive dress while working. Z awkwardly said she rented it just to fit the banquet, but Buck sincerely praised that she looked beautiful. Z saw her mother searching for her. She found an excuse and said she had to get busy. Eventually she still couldn't escape her mother's pursuit. Her mother said she was like a bird in a cage. Her only purpose was to marry into wealth, and she'd better not play tricks. Even her brother was stopped when trying to defend her. Zay could only do as her mother demanded, while her mother kept an eye on her every move. She asked the man to step aside for a talk, but Buck was in the crowd searching for her. The restaurant manager said there was no employee named Zay. As the banquet was ending, they finally found her on a terrace. She was being treated improperly by the man. Buck stepped in strongly, showing his anger. The man fell back easily. Zay begged Buck to stop for his sake. Buck pulled her to the hotel staff, asking why they allowed their staff to be treated that way. The staff was confused, saying they didn't know her. Zay pleaded with Buck to take her away. But why wouldn't she tell him the truth? Was she afraid of losing her part-time job? She kept crying and saying meaningless things. Buck had no idea what to do, so he just stayed quietly with her, like a princess in her carriage swaying. Buck played hard to get. If you feel a little better, maybe I can leave now. Zee looked at him, then slowly hugged him, saying, please don't abandon me. They leaned into each other, as if time had stopped. This tender scene was captured by someone passing by, and the photo ended up in another woman's hands. Meanwhile, another rich kid planned a date with Xiaobei. They went to a lively street, and happened to see a wedding, so they joined to eat and drink. A kind lady asked them to sit and enjoy slowly. She thought they looked perfect together. The rich kid said, we're already married. That statement shocked the ladies. With Xiaobei's little hint, he admitted he was chasing her. The lady told him not to rush and enjoy the moment. He said he was worried someone else would get her first, so he had to move fast. In fact, Xiaobei was already touched. After all his company and comfort each time, her walls slowly crumbled. When she saw the surprise he prepared for her, she couldn't hold back her feelings. She had never been treated so gently before, because earlier she had casually said, the road near her home was dark without lights. Clearly he had kept her words in his heart. This was the girl's 1001st blind date. This time the guy still tried to cross the line. The scene was spotted by a wealthy man with a strong sense of justice. He stepped in with full protective energy, and gave the pushy guy a serious warning. The man was so scared he didn't dare say a word. Afterward the two sat on a bench to calm down. Under the moonlight, Buck once again confessed to Zay, will you be my girlfriend? But she turned him down yet again. Just as Zay was about to head home, her sister pulled out a photo from earlier. The person in the picture was Zay herself. Her sister provoked her, saying, look at what you've done. Imagine what mom would say if she saw this. Seeing the photo only made Zay more sure of her feelings, so she ran to the place where she and Buck had agreed to meet. A dazzling young woman came running toward the confident man. He couldn't take his eyes off her, even though he wondered why the girl who wanted to go home earlier was suddenly here at this moment. Seeing the woman he adored running to him, Buck couldn't hide the joy in his heart. Happily he welcomed her into the car. The whole car felt filled with sweet romance. Just then his wealthy friend called to share some happiness. Buck glanced at Zay, and said he too felt overjoyed today. The big guy had finally won the girl's heart, but halfway through the ride Zay suddenly thought of her mom, and asked Buck to stop and take her back, even though they had agreed to spend the night together, with still 4 or 5 hours left. After Buck gently persuaded her, Zay finally let go of her worries, and no longer rushed to go home. Meanwhile little Bay, who had just felt a spark of romance, ran off shyly. Standing at the door she replayed the moment in her mind. To distract herself she started cleaning like crazy. Keeping busy really did help her forget for a while. You could try it yourself. But when she looked up she saw the snacks brought by the rich young man, and thought of all the little moments with him. Even the jars she cleaned out were full of his notes. Everyone said something like, let me be close to your heart. With all these sweet signs around, it seemed love was not far away. Stop thinking about him, stop thinking about him. Drink some coffee to calm down. But her mind went back to when he made her coffee. And right then she got his message waiting for her downstairs, rain or shine, because she and her best friend liked the same man. She could only turn down Buck's pursuit, to avoid future regrets. They decided to give themselves 5 hours to be free. Buck took Zay to his secret hideout, the same place he once brought his ex. His ex complained it was too countryside, but Zay thought it was breathtakingly beautiful. Here they dreamed about the future. Buck said he planned to build a 2-bedroom home here. Zay added maybe there should be a garden too, one that connects straight to the kitchen, so we could make flower tea right away. That really was a wonderful idea. They watched the stars and the moon, talking from poetry to philosophy of life. If they had enough time maybe they would cover 5,000 years of history. As feelings deepened something was bound to happen. Meanwhile the wealthy young man could only wait under a streetlight for his love. Little Bay felt bad and ran out to see if he was still there, but worried he might notice her. She saw his back and ran off in a hurry, accidentally bumping into a noisy trash can. Following the sound the young man spotted her. Since he finally got her to show up, how could he let her leave? Just then the landlord's window lit up, scaring the two of them to run off hand in hand. Pressed against the wall he stopped her. The rich young man couldn't understand why Little Bay kissed him first, and then said they could only be friends. When you kissed me my heart was already moved. How could I forget you? Yes, you made me feel what love is, but I still haven't let go of Buck. I don't even know what I feel for him. Hearing this the young man knew he was helpless, so he said take the night to think about it. I'll respect your choice. Meanwhile the other two were deeply in love. Getting excited by the sight of the river, Buck knelt down and helped Zay take off her shoes. She ran toward the water like a wild horse set free. Buck quietly watched the girl he loved by the riverside. Then he noticed a tape recorder nearby, and suddenly had an idea. He invited Zay to dance with him. After dancing they leaned together by the river. In that world it felt like only the two of them existed. Perhaps nothing could be happier than this. Opening your eyes and seeing the one you love. Buck gently kissed Z's forehead, sensing she was about to wake in his arms. He pretended to sleep so he could enjoy her sweet response. But morning came, and the dream had to end. A luxury car suddenly cuts off a moving bus. Do not attempt dangerous stunts like this. A handsome man steps out of the car. He storms onto the bus full of anger, looking for the person he loves, demanding an answer. Will you be my girlfriend? Xiaobei stammers and the rich heir never gets a reply. He feels heartbroken, so he leaves after wishing her well. Watching his back as he walks away, Xiaobei is left in shock, unable to move on. In her eyes, the rich guy still never gets an answer. Do you think her heart has been touched? The heir changes his approach and stops chasing Xiaobei. He laughs and chats with other co-workers, but his gaze never leaves Xiaobei. Xiaobei is so upset she nearly snaps the carrot she is cutting. A colleague tells her to stop taking it out on the vegetables. Look at that messy-haired guy talking with such attitude. Who could even like someone like that? Her colleague becomes the target of her frustration. After venting, she rolls her eyes at the heir and walks away. Seeing her leave, he stops pretending too. Zai finds Xiaobei again to apologize. Heartbroken, Xiaobei slowly opens her closet. The two finally make up. They hug each other tightly. The heir vents to Buck in frustration. I really don't understand what Xiaobei is thinking. That night she was the one who kissed me first. Just when I was lost in the moment, she suddenly pulled away. She said she only wanted to be friends, then walked off. Today I pretended to get another girl's number and she was upset again, but I am sure that kiss was real. Buck says it looks like you found a girl worth fighting for. Buck feels like he has discovered something important. Judging from her eyes, the situation is not so simple. He hugs the heir and says, bro, the guy she likes is you. She fell for you, that is why she kissed you first. Because Zai did the same thing. At this moment Buck decides to make a big choice. He wants to confess his true identity to Zai. The heir hopes he will not reveal the truth. But this time Buck stays silent. His back shows he has already made up his mind. Buck runs into Zai while she is taking out the trash. The heir quickly follows behind. Just as Buck is about to reveal the truth holding Zai's hand, the heir rushes over to stop him, but an unexpected accident happens. A fake tycoon falls for a real heiress. He plans to tell the real heiress who he truly is. The rich heir tries to stop him, but an accident happens. He is rushed to the hospital. Seeing the heir unconscious, Buck feels deeply guilty. They have been close since childhood. His own impulsiveness left his friend in danger. The doctor says if he makes it through safely, tonight he should be out of danger. Zai returns with supplies and is overwhelmed with relief. The heir lies in the hospital bed. When he wakes, the first thing he asks is, did you reveal my secret? To keep him from being hurt again, Buck decides not to tell the truth for now. Hearing this, the heir is happy. He suddenly thinks he has only one foot. It gives him quite a scare. He panics and cries out that he is missing a leg. Buck lifts the blanket and shows he is fine. Seeing he truly has 2 healthy legs, he lets out a long breath. Back at the company, Zai tells her best friend. The heir was in a car crash and is now in the hospital. Hearing the bad news, Xiaobei breaks down. She bolts outside without a second thought. At the hospital, she looks at the heir in the bed. Xiaobei can no longer hold back her feelings. She strides forward and hugs him tight. The heir is overjoyed by her sudden warmth. He finally wins her heart. Life is short and he will not keep the one he loves waiting. The heir gets the answer he has been waiting for. After sharing their feelings, they enter a sweet phase. 2 onlookers are completely confused. When did this even happen? How did we miss it? Watching how sweet they are, Buck asks Zai again, may I kiss you? Come on, you must have known this all along. The 3 bystanders are happy for them. With a little push from Xiaobei, they decide to follow their hearts. Just as they are about to share a private moment, Zai's mom also comes to visit the heir. Zai trembles in surprise. Buck is puzzled by this reaction, but Zai says she hopes for a proper date. Seeing her mother, Zai flees in a hurry. At this moment, Buck still does not realize he just passed his future mother-in-law by a step. A romance begins with receiving a bouquet of flowers. The man giving the flowers is Buck, a fake tycoon. The girl is a real heiress and they fall in love. Tonight is their very first date. At the restaurant, he confesses with passion, I would walk that broken bridge 1,000 times, just to earn one glance and smile from you. When I met you, my heart finally began to beat. Will you be my girlfriend? This time Zai does not run away. She accepts Buck's confession. Next comes their intimate moment. But do you think it goes that smoothly? The tablecloth nearby catches fire again. History always has a way of repeating itself. You could say it is because the sparks of love burn too bright. Once again, that ancient bottle of magic water puts out the little flame on the cloth. Meanwhile, the heir is stargazing with Xiaobei, talking from poetry to philosophy. Before she finishes, he has already dozed off. It seems she won't get to tell her stories of 5,000 years. Xiaobei looks at him sleeping soundly, and quietly rests in the arms of the one she loves. The two of them walk down a lively street. Buck admires Zai from a distance as she plays joyfully. When Zai suddenly turns, they lock eyes in deep affection. With flowers in hand, Zai looks enchanting. They can no longer hold back their feelings. In front of everyone, they run into each other's arms, forgetting time and place in their tender moment. But Buck suddenly stops. Zai is puzzled, lost in the moment. She calls out the heir's name. Buck says, I am not the heir, my name is Buck. Can they still be together now that the truth is out? Buck reveals his real identity. Zai refuses to believe, thinking he is joking. Her mind is spinning. One is a true heiress, the other a fake tycoon. Can their love break free from society's chains? The beauty turned her head with a smile, and it instantly touched the heart of the wealthy man. But wonderful moments always slip away too quickly. Buck confessed to Zae that he was not really rich. When Zae didn't believe him, he pulled out his real ID. The name written on it was Buck. I may not have money, but my feelings for you are real. I will work hard to change our future. Please believe in me. Please trust my heart. Zae was stunned and could not believe it. The one she loved the most ended up hurting her the deepest. I know you truly care about me, but what I hate most is dishonesty. Your hiding the truth is something I cannot accept. I fell for someone whose very name was not real. Buck panicked and grabbed her hand. He guided her palm to feel his heartbeat. Zae turned away with tears in her eyes. Watching her leave, Buck felt a deep sense of helplessness. The two of them walked in opposite directions, yet at the same time their hearts still moved in sync. You might think they would run back to each other, but they did not. When Zae returned home, she told her brother about Buck hiding the truth. Her brother admitted that keeping his identity a secret was wrong, but he reminded her that no one is perfect. Maybe he had his own reasons. When he wanted to confirm his feelings with you, he told you the truth right away. That shows he really cares about you. You were searching for your Prince Charming all along. Would you really give up on true love just because he isn't wealthy? Haven't you also been hiding who you really are? Hearing this from her brother, Zae suddenly understood. He is my Prince Charming. I shouldn't let this make me walk away from him. Zae decided to go back and call Buck to apologize. Have you ever practiced a call over and over again before dialing, and still felt like you weren't ready enough? Just then the phone suddenly rang. It turned out to be Buck calling her. He invited Zae to have breakfast with him tomorrow. We don't even need to guess what she said. Of course she agreed. Just look at her picking up the phone. So thrilled she couldn't stop smiling. When two people like each other, dating feels so sweet. At night they part reluctantly. In the morning the first call wakes them up. The alarm is filled with affection. They get out of bed encouraged by love. Even when they brush their teeth or head out, they stay connected as if they share the same rhythm. They can't stop being sweet together. These two are inseparable. Zae comes to Buck's home. The two are ready to open their hearts. Buck's mom comes out to welcome Zae. She is very pleased with her son's girlfriend. She prepared a big breakfast and kept the mood light. Meanwhile, the couple sneakily holds hands under the table. The rich young man shows up looking for Buck but sees them whispering together. He immediately realizes what is going on. He demands to know why Buck revealed the truth to Zae. Buck says he couldn't bring himself to lie to his girlfriend, and he didn't want her to walk away over this. The two start arguing fiercely. In anger, they say things about ending their bond. In the end, they part unhappily. No one expected the brothers to fall out because of her. At the office, Zae notices how downcast Buck looks, so she gives him some heartfelt encouragement. The power of love seems to lift Buck's spirits. Zae wants to help the two brothers reconcile, so she makes a big decision. Zae tells the rich young man that brothers grow up together. It's natural for them to see things differently. You and Buck have been together for so long. Of course there might be some issues between you. Why not try to work them out? The young man admits maybe she is right and he was oversimplifying, but Zae insists that Buck didn't do anything wrong. He didn't want to lose me and he didn't want to lose you as his brother. That's why he chose to be honest with me. The one thing couples should avoid most is dishonesty. If you truly care about Bella, then you should also be honest with her. I believe she would forgive you too. The young man seemed to understand. He went to Buck and said, "You are my brother. I'm afraid of losing you and the one I care about. I hope you can forgive how I acted before." Seeing how sincere he was, Buck decided to forgive him. The young man hugged Buck tightly with emotion. The brothers finally let go of the bitterness between them. Zae also decided to be honest with Buck about being a wealthy heiress. It was still that same swing by the roadside. Still the familiar little ritual. Still the same familiar feeling. Zae said, "I've also been drifting through the crowd, searching for my guiding light. In that way I'm just like you." Buck looked puzzled, not sure what she meant. Just as Zae was about to tell the truth, the phone rang. It was her mom calling. She told her that she and the young man's grandmother had arranged a meeting. They would both be there, so she should be ready. Zae turned back to look at Buck, but it felt like resisting wouldn't change anything. "I'm my own person with my own thoughts. I've had enough of being controlled." But her mom firmly told her not to test her patience. Zae had no choice but to hang up and prepare to leave. The two of them hugged each other tightly, reluctant to part. Can their love really break free from the weight of the world? The truth, left unsaid this time, became a shadow hanging over their hearts. At that moment, the young man also got a call from his grandmother. This was the wealthy girl's nth blind date. Sitting in the car, Zae couldn't stop thinking. She kept remembering all the little moments with her boyfriend who didn't have much. Meanwhile, her date was also lost in memories of his sweet times with his girlfriend. Yes, this time she was actually meeting her best friend's boyfriend on a blind date. She resisted the idea like a kid trying to get out of school, saying she didn't feel well and her head felt fuzzy. But her mom wasn't buying it. She had seen through these little tricks long ago. Zae could only slump in the car waiting for the verdict. On the other side, the rich young man was restless in his car. He kept complaining non-stop, looking every bit the rebellious grandson. Finally the car stopped and he hurried out. Everyone was waiting. Was he really going to back out? The young man said, "You always wanted me to be outstanding and successful. You never accepted me as just being ordinary. After that accident I realized something. I just want to live the life I choose. I am not grandpa and I am not dad. and I am definitely not a puppet in your hands. I am not just a tool for your expectations. Hearing this, his grandmother decided to let go of her frustration. She told him to get back in the car because his date was waiting, but this time he said, I won't go along with it anymore. I just want to live the life I truly want. I already have a girlfriend and I won't accept another arranged date. Frustrated, he left in a cab without looking back. His grandmother was so upset she nearly fainted on the spot. She had no choice but to go to the meeting alone. When Zahi and her mom saw the grandmother arrive, her mom quickly went up to greet her. Z panicked and covered her face with her hands, afraid of being recognized by the young man, but when she heard that he had left halfway, Zahi suddenly felt relieved and cheerfully greeted his grandmother. She even warmly invited her to sit down. The meal turned out surprisingly pleasant. Her mom was stunned by how quickly her attitude had changed. After it ended, Zahi went back to the office to find Buck. When Buck saw his girlfriend looking for him, he hung up his call. Then he immediately got all sweet with her. They planned to go to the amusement park that evening. Before heading out, the young man was practicing how to confess to Bella. Buck even thoughtfully prepared a gift for him, and helped plan out how he could tell the truth. Give the gift, then go dancing. And when the moment feels right, speak from the heart. Honestly, Buck really understood how to win a girl's heart. That night the two couples went on their date. Even bumper cars turned into a game full of laughter. It wasn't like the dramas where every throw is perfect. It looked more like he was just giving away coins. Z couldn't bear to watch anymore. She gave him a little push of encouragement and he finally got one right. Just as they were having so much fun, Z suddenly saw news about her family's yacht in trouble. She knew her brother was on board and instantly broke down. Earlier that day she had been cheering him on and now his safety was uncertain. Heartbroken, she told Buck, I have to leave right now. Seeing Z fall apart so suddenly, Buck had no idea what was going on and could only chase after her. But Z still didn't want to tell him the truth. I will explain it to you later. Right now I just need to get there as soon as I can. Buck wanted to face it with her, but Z stepped forward and gave him a hug, then quickly got into a cab and left, leaving Buck standing there alone. Watching Zahi leave, both Bella and the young man were left in shock. No one knew what had just happened. At home, this girl was either scolded or mistreated. Fortunately, she had a caring brother always by her side. But then she saw on the news that something had happened to him. Zahi broke down instantly. The brother who had encouraged her just hours ago was now missing. Only the night before, the family had a huge argument. Her brother fell ill and was taken to the hospital. Zahi was unable to reach him. When he was discharged, he went straight to Zahi's workplace to comfort her. He asked her to promise him a few things. First, never let anyone else decide your life. Even if that person is mom. Only you can choose your own life. Zahi was puzzled why he said this, not realizing it was their last time together. Remember to smile more. Your smile is beautiful and bright. With deep respect, he told Zahi, I love you. Zahi was about to rush to work, but he stopped her and encouraged her. Now his fate was uncertain. The family waited anxiously for news, praying for a miracle to happen. Meanwhile, Bart looked at Zahi's work file. Finding it blank, he lashed out at the HR manager. At dawn, he carried her photo everywhere searching for her, but as expected found nothing. Zahi too waited constantly for news about her brother. It felt like an eternity had passed. Police told them, we have searched for 3 days and nights, still without signs of life. Based on our past experience, the chance of survival no longer exists. Hearing the news, everyone collapsed in grief. Heartbroken, Zahi held on to her mother. Her sister stepped forward and the three embraced tightly. The father could only crouch down powerless. None of them wanted to accept the truth. Bart, who still had no girlfriend, at dawn found Zahi waiting at his doorstep. They hugged each other tightly. My brother has passed away. Zahi hated her own helplessness for not noticing her brother's troubles sooner. Seeing her sorrow, Bark's heart ached. He didn't know how to comfort her. Bark's mother saw weary Zahi and embraced her with comfort. She even prepared food for her, but Zahi had no appetite. Bark's mother kept soothing her, then brought out a family heirloom necklace, saying it was the only keepsake from her own mother. It had always been her source of strength and she wanted Zahi to have it. Zahi felt it was too precious to accept, but Bark's mother said, you are my son's treasure, and you are also my treasure. Let me place it on you myself. Having such a loving mother-in-law to be, Zahi's mood brightened at once. She was even able to join Bark's family for dinner. Grandmother brought clothes for the rich heir, telling him, the girl we once arranged for you to meet, her brother had a tragic accident. His body still has not been found. Today they are holding a memorial. Come with me to pay respects. They arrived at Zahi's home for the service. Seeing Zahi's grieving mother, the grandmother felt heartache. She embraced her, hoping to give her strength. At that moment, Zahi returned carrying water, and met the rich heir standing with the grandmother. Both of them were shocked. Neither expected to meet again under such circumstances. Do you think the rich heir should tell his best friend? A wealthy heiress hid her identity to work as a waitress, but ended up falling in love with a fake rich guy. The fake rich guy admitted who he really was, but Zahi kept her secret, because her brother had passed away unexpectedly. The heir went to the memorial and discovered her true identity. He questioned why she never told the truth. Zahi asked back why he hadn't been honest from the start either. Both of them were equally defiant. The heir realized his mistake, and quickly went to confess to Xiaobei. First, I'm not an assistant. I'm actually the real head of the company. Bark was only covering for me and handling things. Xiaobei felt deceived. She dropped the fruit she bought and ran off in a panic. The heir grabbed a loudspeaker and confessed publicly. At first I only wanted to avoid my work, so I let Bark take my place. But I really do like you, that's why I want to make things clear. Xiaobei said when you lied. Did you ever think of my feelings? I trusted you so deeply. While you were counting money in your office, I was bargaining in the market, just to save up enough to buy you a shirt. Now I'll give it to you as a breakup gift. Xiaobei called her best friend to vent. She hated being deceived like this. Zei said maybe he had his reasons, and promised to keep her company later. The heir went to Bark to pour out his troubles. Clutching the gift he couldn't let go. Could you forgive such a lie from someone you love? Bark patiently comforted him, not knowing at that moment that he was actually the one most deeply deceived. Xiaobei went to the company to resign, but was stopped in the locker room by the heir's confession. Yet she felt too hurt to forgive him. He stayed outside apologizing endlessly, while inside she was in tears. At that moment Zei passed by the company looking for Bark. After agreeing to meet that evening she quickly left. Bark noticed and followed. Do you think Bark will uncover Zei's true identity? The man was slapped in front of everyone and pushed out of the house. The woman with sore hands sat in the bedroom holding her daughter crying with unbearable pain. She begged her daughter not to leave her. They say a mother can be strong, but she had just lost her son. She no longer carried the confidence she once had. Then she faced the mistress who came to provoke her. The mistress shamelessly claimed her daughter was also the father's child, and deserved inheritance rights. She said coming here was like coming home. She even flaunted the keys to a newly bought villa. Angry, the mother told the guards to throw her out. The father could not escape either. She stormed to her husband and gave him a slap. The guests around were stunned. Then the husband was also sent out. After releasing her anger, the mother went to the bedroom and began taking sleeping pills. Just then her daughter walked in. The mother could only hold her child and cry helplessly. She had always wanted to protect this family, but now it was falling apart. She felt powerless. She could only beg her daughter not to leave her. Since losing her son, the mother had been frail and weary. Seeing her so heartbroken made the daughter ache inside. At that moment it seemed she made a major decision. She went to the place where she was supposed to meet her boyfriend. The boyfriend had been waiting, hoping to get an explanation. Holding her gave him courage. It was clear he truly loved her, but he never thought she came to break up. His sincerity again and again only got her words of goodbye. He said, I did not hear that. If I turn around you come hug me. We can still be together. But when he turned around there was nothing behind him. Angry, he pulled out all the roses he had once given her. Pulling roses bare-handed, I wonder if his hands hurt. Maybe his heart hurt more. The daughter went home in tears and ran into her sister. She did not trust her sister's character, so the sister deleted photos from her phone to gain trust. The naive girl did not know they could be restored from recently deleted. She innocently told her she had worked as a waitress and fallen in love with a poor boy. She revealed everything to her sister. The sister went crazy, saying the world had gone mad. You actually fell for a poor boy. If mom finds out she will explode. We cannot let her know. She would not be able to handle the shock. Zei, you and Buck will never be possible. The sister left furious. They say men rarely cry, unless the pain is too deep. Buck held his phone, wanting to reach out but not daring to. Then a high school classmate came to see him. They talked so much they did not notice Zei arriving. When she saw him chatting happily with someone else, her jealousy overflowed. She misunderstood and ran away upset. This made the classmate feel hopeful. She was pretty and came from wealth. She had even secretly liked him back in school. Now he seemed to be without anyone, so she became especially forward. When he stood up to leave, she quickly grabbed his hand. The wealthy heiress pretended to be a waitress and dated the boss Buck. She just broke up with him yesterday. Today she already regrets it. Before she even had the chance to make up, a high school classmate showed up looking for Buck. The two of them were chatting happily. With her perfect social skills, she easily landed the supervisor job. In fact, she had secretly liked Buck since high school. Buck had no idea he was actually the target. He personally showed her every corner of the store. Seeing them walking close and even touching, Zei was very unhappy. But what right did she have to be upset? She was the one who asked for the breakup. Buck formally introduced this woman to everyone. Right after taking charge, the new supervisor laid down tough rules. She made a bunch of regulations. Zei resisted but was left speechless. She and her friend could only hide in the locker room in tears, because earlier the rich guy's grandmother found Xiaobei. She asked who that woman was who bewitched her grandson. Seeing her aggressive manner, Xiaobei did not dare tell the truth. She only praised herself instead. The grandmother told her people from the bottom should not dream too big. Many want to climb up and become someone important, but if families don't match, they can't enter our home. That night Zei called Buck to apologize. There is something I wanted to tell you 1,000 times. I'm sorry, I love you so much. Then she confessed her feelings, but the voice on the other end was the new supervisor, and Buck happened to ask whose call it was. When he saw the phone, he realized it was Zei, but when he tried calling back, no one answered. Buck angrily got up to leave. The classmate pleaded, please don't abandon me. I have liked you since high school. Please give me a chance. If you can't love me, I'll walk away. For now, let me heal your wounds. Who could resist such a beautiful, confident, and wealthy woman? The next day she even made breakfast for Buck, and fed him by hand. Seeing this, Zei was upset, maybe out of spite. Buck actually ate it. Zei left heartbroken and in tears. After she left, Buck also walked away. The classmate followed Zae to the locker room and locked the door. Then she grabbed Zae's limited edition bag and questioned her. How could a waitress afford such luxury? And the limited edition clothes in your closet? Don't think you can fool me. I may not know your true identity yet, but are you sure Buck wouldn't want to know? I look forward to the day you are exposed. The classmate was now certain Zae was her rival. She swore she would reveal her. Hearing that the rich guy was going to see Zae, she secretly followed. While the bodyguard was distracted on his phone, she slipped into the villa. She moved quickly and confidently, boldly reaching the outside of the house. Before she could see much, a servant spotted her. The servant told her to leave. Before she was forced out, Zae suddenly appeared, and her true identity as a rich heiress was revealed. What do you think she will do next? This girl was a wealthy heiress. She hid her identity to work as a waitress but was exposed by her rival. At the company party, Zae's photo and profile suddenly appeared on the big screen. Her rival had secretly followed her home, and discovered who she really was. Buck finally learned the truth about his girlfriend. He realized he had been living in a lie. At that moment Zae also came to the party. She wanted to explain but the facts were right there. Buck no longer wanted to listen. The happiest one was clearly the classmate. You could see she could barely hold back her smile. Buck turned and walked away. The classmate quickly followed. She said she accidentally found out Zae's true identity, but Buck never expected that the identity swap with the rich heir would be discovered by his grandmother. Grandma thought Buck did it all for money. She looked down on him from above. Buck obediently walked up. Grandma threw a bag of cash on the floor. At that moment, no matter what he said, it would not clear his name. I gave you a job and supported your family for years, and you still covet our money. Buck angrily threw all the money away. He would not keep the bag. I don't need your charity, he said, and walked away. The heiress had just lost love, and was caught by her mother working as a waitress. To keep her from embarrassing the family again, they locked her up. Her sister quietly brought her food. She begged her sister to let her see Buck. Her sister firmly refused. Zae pleaded with emotion and reason, saying losing Buck was like losing life itself. Her sister was finally moved and let her out. But she never expected the classmate to be so aggressive. Using her sharp skills and stirring up trouble, she managed to push her rival aside. At this point Buck had no job, no girlfriend, and was vulnerable. The classmate showed up acting gentle and caring. She said she didn't know Zae was his girlfriend, but Zae had hidden things from him and was a liar. I'm not like her, I'll share everything with you. I'm the one who truly cares for you. Looking at her, Buck fell into deep thought, but his mind was still full of Zae and their future. Buck sent the classmate away. She reminded him, don't forget I love you the most. After she left, Xiaobei arrived. She told Buck Zae actually missed him deeply. She came to see you today but you weren't there, so she left you a message. Sure enough, he saw the message, but he picked up her photo and tore it apart. Xiaobei stood up for her friend, but Buck said, weren't you a victim too? Xiaobei grew angry, grabbed her bag and left. The heiress had just gone through a breakup. Her mother then discovered she was working as a waitress. To keep her from embarrassing the family again, they arranged for her to work at the family company. Zae reluctantly got in the car. She had no idea two surprises were waiting. Her father announced she was the second largest shareholder. Everyone was shocked, including Zae herself. Her sister questioned why make this decision. It was actually her brother's will. It stated Zae would inherit all of his assets. Zae had not expected her brother spent his final days thinking of her. Her sister was the least happy because of what happened to him. She felt she bore some responsibility. All her careful plotting ended up helping someone else. The second news truly caught Zae off guard. Her father had hired a professional manager. Zae accidentally knocked an apple. The apple rolled to a pair of dress shoes. She never expected their next meeting would be like this. The new manager turned out to be her ex-boyfriend. They pretended not to know each other. They greeted each other like it was their first meeting. From his eyes I felt Buck had changed. In truth, he just craved money and power. He felt he had nothing, so how could he talk about love? Their offices faced each other across the corridor. The situation with the classmate was discovered by the rich heir. The rich heir immediately dismissed her. When Zae happily went to find Buck, she saw the classmate. Zae wondered why she was there. Buck said he had invited her. I do not want to see her here. Zae was furious. Aside from venting by doing odd tasks, she had no other way. That evening when they met for a meeting, as everyone agreed to build bigger and stronger, Buck said he had invited an important partner. When that person appeared, everyone was stunned. People were angry. They had seen her in the day and now again at night. Zae could not understand why Buck would invite the classmate, but Buck had already made up his mind. The girl had just entered the office. When she noticed her ex-boyfriend talking closely with her rival, she approached to confront them, but they calmly claimed they were just working. With no other choice, Zae turned and returned to her office. But the next second, Zae had an idea. She quietly pressed the button to trigger the alarm. Seeing their panicked expressions, Zae couldn't help but laugh. While laughing, Zae was spotted by Buck. Zae looked at Buck provocatively. Wanting to regain control, Buck walked toward Heidi without thinking, and Zae's smile slowly faded. What would it feel like to watch the person you like kiss your rival? Zae shed tears of heartbreak and ran out. Buck realized his foolishness. He looked at Heidi pulling her, and finally ran after Zae. They loved each other deeply, but they hurt each other with the sharpest words. I've completely forgotten our past. I'm just a handsome guy now, not a rich second generation. But when Buck was leaving, he almost got into a car accident. It was then that Buck realized he couldn't forget Zay. But for now, he had to keep his feelings hidden, because there were still things he needed to finish. By chance, Buck saw an interview with Zay's mother in a magazine, and discovered that Zay's mother was still an artist. He couldn't help but get an idea. He immediately called Zay's mother, and said, I've invited many designers, but none of them caught my interest. I hope you can come here and give me some advice. He even mentioned their shared style preferences. At her age, being needed always makes you feel energized. Zay's mother quickly arrived at the location, to personally design for Buck, but she didn't know that everything was planned by Buck, because at that moment, the rich second generation's grandmother was upstairs. After Buck left, their encounter made the grandmother misunderstand. The grandmother thought that Zay had come here earlier, and they had planned everything together to take over this supermarket. The conflict between the two families escalated. The furious grandmother went straight to the company to find Zay's father and demand an explanation. But Zay's father used the excuse of a meeting to have the grandmother sent to Buck's office. When the grandmother arrived at Buck's office, she was stunned. They locked eyes, and she realized that everything was being controlled by Buck. The Buck she saw now was no longer the boy from before. He wasn't the boy who would just say yes to her anymore. With no choice, the grandmother turned to Zay's mother. When they met, they immediately started clashing. But as they talked, they realized something was off. Zay's mother didn't know Buck's identity. The grandmother showed her a photo of Buck, and Zay's mother finally understood. She thought that Buck and Zay had tricked her, and gave her a fierce glare. The grandmother had never seen such a look from Zay's mother, and their conversation was overheard by Zay. The mother-in-law invited her son-in-law over for dinner, but little did he know it was a trap. Buck saw that his parents were also present, and immediately knew something was wrong. The mother-in-law sarcastically said, Yesterday, a couple came to apply for a maid position here. I later found out it was your parents. Such a coincidence, isn't it? No wonder they said they would treat the boss like family. Zay's mother subtly hinted at her mockery. At that moment, Zay's father returned, and, upon learning that Buck had deceived them, he was furious. Just as Zay's father was about to humiliate Buck, Buck's father suddenly shouted at Zay's father to stop. I will not allow anyone to humiliate my son. I may not have money, or a house as big as yours, but if anyone tries to hurt my son, I won't let them get away with it. Zay was anxious on the side, because her relationship with Buck had just started to improve because of the engagement proposal. But returning home, she found herself in another predicament. At this point, Buck, with his parents, tried to leave, and requested to resign. But Zay's father reminded him, the restaurant opens tomorrow. You still need to finish the last tasks. Otherwise, you'll face huge compensation fees. Buck had no choice but to reluctantly agree. At home, Buck looked at his upset mother. He could no longer contain his anger. He wanted to destroy that man first. So he contacted a lawyer who had a grudge against Zay's father, and told him he was there to cooperate in taking down the other party. By chance, Buck had obtained evidence of Zay's father's business crimes. The two of them hit it off and planned to ruin the other party at the restaurant opening tomorrow. The next day, at the restaurant opening, important local figures gathered at the restaurant. When the lawyer appeared at the restaurant, Zay's father sensed something was about to happen, and it made him uncomfortable. At this moment, Zay's sister angrily walked toward her female classmate, and poured a glass of wine over her, telling her she no longer had any leverage over her, because Zay had already discovered their secret. Then, she resolutely fired her classmate. When the classmate walked past Buck, Buck didn't offer a helping hand. Zay finally smiled. But just as Zay's father started to speak, a group of police officers barged in. Zay's father was arrested in front of everyone. Buck and the lawyer exchanged satisfied smiles, as the family prepared to get in the car and leave the troubled place. Zay realized she had forgotten her bag at the restaurant. When she returned to retrieve it, she saw Buck and the lawyer chatting and laughing. The poor guy's parents were humiliated by his mother-in-law's family. In a fit of anger, he sent his father-in-law to prison. Zay pressured Buck, asking if he was the one who reported it. Buck didn't want to lie to Zay, but how could he bring himself to admit it? Just then, the lawyer suddenly appeared and admitted it on Buck's behalf. If you want to know who reported your father, it was me. This gave Buck a temporary sense of relief. Zay didn't know the lawyer's identity. She could only ask her mother, but her mother changed the subject. She told Zay that now it was just the three of them. She had to learn how to face high society. Never reveal what's in your heart. Watch those critical eyes carefully, because they might swallow you up when you're not looking. Having avenged his grievance, Buck returned home with gifts for his parents, but found that his parents had already left. They left only 2 notes, saying that their son had become selfish Buck, no longer the kind and helpful son they once knew. They hoped Buck would find the person he once was, and they would return naturally. Buck, holding his mouth and crying, finally understood. His parents didn't need him to take revenge. They just wanted him to be happy and safe. At that moment, Buck finally returned. He went to the place where he shared memories with Zay, only to find Zay there as well. It was as if she had been waiting for Buck to arrive. Buck confessed everything to Zay. There were no more lies between them. Zay shed tears of happiness. Then Buck called his parents, telling them that the old Buck had returned. His parents were both relieved and moved. What was unexpected was, after Zay's persistent persuasion, Zay's mother actually apologized sincerely to Buck's parents, and together they made a sumptuous dinner for Buck and Zay. Meanwhile, the grandmother ended up in the hospital, after the rich second generation publicly acknowledged the existence of Xiao Bei. Under Xiao Bei's meticulous care, the grandmother finally accepted her presence. Finally, they all arrived at Buck's house. The two families had weathered different storms, and in the end, they all gained something from it. Love is not about constant taking, nor is it about constant giving. It's about holding on to trust and honesty with the one you love, and keeping an open heart, because in this world, besides your parents, it's only that person who can stand by your side on the same line. Thank you for being with us all along. Alright, see you in the next drama.